Welcome to your Gemini Season Solar Flow. Let's get into this. Coming to the top of your mat, place your 2 feet together and take a moment to rock back and forth on your toes to your heels. So just distributing the weight and then allowing the body to come back into balance. So noticing how the body is just naturally self-correcting as you take a deep breath, coming into stillness. In this Gemini season solar flow, we're going to balance our mind and allow the mind to come to stillness. So Gemini rules over the mind, the thinking mind, the lower mind or the buddhi, the intellect. So here we're going to work to really focus the mind so we can enter into that beautiful meditative state. Then we can just allow the thoughts to pass like clouds in the sky. So rather than get caught up, tormented in the thoughts, or mistaking our true self for our fleeting thoughts, we're rather learning to identify with the sky rather than the clouds. And we are finding that state of observer or observation, that witness consciousness, so we can observe our thoughts, practice that gentle sense of detachment, and observe the weather pattern of the mind that's constantly fluctuating. So yoga is the cessation of the mental fluctuations of the thought forms. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Now I want you to experiment with your balance, tipping a little bit from left to right on the edges of your feet. And again, allowing yourself to come off of balance, exploring the edges of your feet, and then allowing the body again to just naturally come back to this beautiful state of equilibrium. So Gemini is the twins. It's represented by the twins. So we are finding that balance in this dynamic, engaged dialogue. And then coming back to this point of stillness, that is our true nature. So come back to that stillness after exploring your balance again. And just tapping into that energy of equilibrium, balance, homeostasis. It's that peaceful energy from which place we then can witness the fluctuations of the mind. Beautiful. So, in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, Sutra number 1 is, what is yoga? And then Sutra number 2, we get our answer. Yoga is the cessation or the arresting of the thought forms. We'll be focusing on this beautiful sutra as we move through our dynamic Gemini season flow. Are you ready? So taking a deep breath in, feeling firmly rooted on both feet from this space of equilibrium, bringing the arms up with an inhale, and then bring them down with an exhale. One breath, one movement. Again, inhaling, the arms come up, and exhaling, the arms come down. One breath, one movement. Inhaling again, the arms come up. And exhaling, this time let's forward fold. We're exhaling, swan diving forward. You can bend the knees as you come to the earth, and then gently lift and lengthen an isometric contraction. The crown lifts forward while the tail comes back. Exhaling, planting both hands firmly on the floor. Let's step back into a plank posture. And just taking a moment here and then exhaling all the way down to the earth. Chaturanga Dandasana. The elbows are hugging in. Inhaling, the heart opens. Exhaling, back to downward facing dog. Staying in our downward facing dog for 5 luxurious, long, deep breaths. Gemini energy tends to be quick as it's ruled by the fastest moving planet Mercury. So see if you can counterbalance that quickness, allowing for that beautiful spontaneity, but to counterbalancing that with grounding energy. Slow, deep, long, luxurious breaths as your hamstrings lengthen towards the earth and you press back. Inhaling and exhaling. Gemini is an air sign, so really connecting into that pranic energy of the breath. Feeling a little warmth, and then bending the knees and stepping forward to the hands into our forward fold, and then rolling up the spine slowly, pressing the feet firmly into the earth in order to come up grounded to greet the sky above. The hands come overhead and then meet at our heart center for a moment. Let's pause here and bask in the after effects of this Surya Namaskar A. Just taking a moment to pause, breathing deeply. Let's get that Ujjayi breath going. So that yogic breath, tapping into the air element. So the low belly is the engine of the breath here. I'm breathing in and out of my low belly. Inhaling, the low belly expands. Exhaling, the low belly contracts. Inhaling, the low belly expands. Exhaling, the low belly contracts. Beautiful. A few more breaths like this. Exhaling, the belly contracts, and then you can slightly bring in the sound of the ocean by gently constricting the back of the throat while allowing the air to pass into the low belly. Ujjayi breath, the victorious breath. Beautiful. Now with this Ujjayi breath, let's move through another sun salutation, tapping into that spontaneous, versatile, playful Gemini energy while staying rooted and grounded. Inhaling, arms come up. Exhaling, the arms come down. Gently lift and lengthen. Exhaling, coming down all the way to the earth. Inhaling up to upward facing dog, or exhaling into, and then exhaling into your downward facing dog. Pressing back through all 10 fingers. Gemini actually rules over the fingers, the arms, and both sides of the brain. We're really balancing the left and right, the two opposing elements here in an engaged and dynamic conversation. So not only do we need to speak in our conversations and express ourselves, but also to listening. So see if you can listen deeply to your breath. And then gently coming to the top of your mat and then rising up, lifting down to, anchoring down to reach up to the sky, grounding down to lift yourself up. The arms come up and then down to the heart center, and then you can release, reposing in the after effect of this beautiful sun salutation. So with the sun in Gemini, the sun being that ego consciousness here, and Gemini be ruling over the mind. We're just taking a moment to bring your awareness to the center of your forehead. You might even like to bring your gaze gently up to the third eye, to the center of the forehead. You can even look out from the back of the forehead at the Chitta Kasha, the space behind the forehead, and see if you can see any lights or stories, astral projections on the back of your forehead. just for fun. Gemini is such a curious energy, so open and always wanting to explore and experiment with new things. So try this out. Try gazing at the back of the forehead, the Chitta Akasha. Akasha being space. Beautiful. And then let's do one more round of Surya Namaskar A, lifting the arms up to greet the air, the sky. Exhaling, bending down, gently lifting and lengthening. Exhaling, placing the hands. Our technique here is to hug the elbows in and into Chaturanga Dandasana, and then lifting up, protecting the low back. The thighs are lifted here as we exhale, pressing back into our beautiful earthy, rooted, grounded, downward facing dog. So Gemini rolling over skills and knowledge, also this technique will really come into play. So we can focus a little bit on our technique and on the details. Being Mercurian, Gemini loves the details. Not as much as Virgo, but also detail-oriented in terms of our logistics. So just see how you can make these micro adjustments, such as hugging in the shoulders, relaxing the neck, letting the brain be heavy in the head, gazing with your drishti, your gaze at the navel, lifting your bandhas, which we'll talk about in a minute. If you don't have a bandha practice, don't worry about it. Allowing the hamstrings to get long as we root back, breathing deeply, listening to the Ujjayi breath. We're having a dynamic conversation through the breath. And then exhaling after 5 breaths to the top of the mat and coming up. You can leave the back long, protecting the low back, or rolling up, allowing for some versatility here to keep it fun and spontaneous. Bringing the feet together in a balancing position now. And then just taking a moment to bask in the after effect, see what's been stirred up in your system through this dynamic movement as you breathe. Continuing to have that conversation through the breath. Beautiful. Now, I know for me, my wrists get a little bit worked, so feel free to shake out the wrists. Beautiful. And you can even just play around with your wrists, have fun and experiment, and little wrist movement, just allowing for some free form movement to release any holding in the wrists. Gorgeous. So we're going to experiment with some balancing postures to help balance the mind. So before we begin, let's just check in with our state of awareness, bringing both feet together. This is a balancing posture here when we're in Tadasana and the feet are together. And then just feeling your balance, your plumb line or the core channel, the axis of your being, allowing you to really stay in this dynamic balance. In the center, Sushumna Nadi, that very important channel, the central channel. Just bringing your awareness to the spine, allowing yourself to grow a little bit taller, as if there's a string pulling from the crown of your head. Taking a moment to breathe deeply here. And then gently again gazing at the third eye. Just activating your Ajna chakra, your third eye, your mental command center. Through the power of your awareness and also with this gaze, this drishti. Beautiful. So just allowing and noticing the weather pattern of the mind today. So since you've woken up today, what has the nature of your mind been like? Perhaps the mind has been quick and fast, jumping from thought to thought. Or maybe tamasic, lethargic, slow and foggy, even dwelling in the past. Or perhaps the mind is clear, sattvic and alert. So just noticing. And then we're going to open the eyes and we're going to wrap the right leg over the left and the right arm over the left. So here we're balancing the mind. So we're going to find a place on the wall, a drishti, a point of focus or a gaze. So you can just find a point to focus the eyes. That is really the secret to balance, especially for me, in my opinion. It's the drishti, it's the gaze, it's the focus of the eyes gently on a single point. So I want you to commit to a single point. It could be on the floor or the wall. And then coming into your chair position by piking a little bit, bending back, seeing if you can see your toes and just making sure your knees aren't over your toes, staying long and reaching up. And then you can slightly come out or just lift the right leg and hug it around here, hooking the right foot around the right leg and then the left arm under, let's say over the left. Does it matter? Let's just do right under left, or whichever is your preference actually. There's probably a right way, but I don't think Gemini is going to be too fickle about it. We're just exploring. And then allowing for this dynamic conversation to happen in this balancing posture, Garuda, the eagle posture. As you focus your gaze, you could look out over the fingertips too. The arms could be up or angled down. And just allowing the wobbling to happen. And notice how the body wants to self-correct itself. Wobbling is wonderful. Falling is fabulous. And then coming out, woo, opening up, putting both feet on the ground, just being so grateful we have 2 feet. Both sides of the body being available now. How does that feel? And then again, we're going to come into the other side. So coming into our chair pose and then wrapping the left arm under the right and the left leg over the right leg and hooking it around. If possible, if that hurts your knee or tweaks at all, please do not wrap the foot. Or if this isn't working for you, you could kickstand the foot on the ground. Just making a good effort, finding your edge. And breathing once you're in this posture. For me, it's tweaking my left knee a little bit, so I'll just release my foot. Try to sit down even deeper into the posture as I take some deep, long Ujjayi breaths. And when you're ready, coming out of the posture, opening the arms, putting the feet down, and then feeling grateful we have 2 sides to us, like the twins. Gorgeous. Let's just try a simpler balancing posture while we're here. So, coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose, you can even roll the shoulders back for a moment here, not twerking the shoulders, but really allowing for the shoulder blades just to melt down the back, allowing yourself just to get a little bit taller without lifting the chin too high. And then bringing the right foot up, just a very simple balancing posture, our tree pose. So again, finding that drishti, that gaze of the eyes, just a gentle gaze in a single point and committing to that focus is extremely important for our balance. And also too, it's a step in the method of meditation. Concentration is the step before we enter into meditation. So focusing the mind on that point or the breath. And of course, if this isn't working for you, you can always kickstand, put the foot a little bit lower. If you want to move even deeper into the pose and get into a half lotus, then you're more than welcome. You can open the arms or bring them to your heart as well. So just taking another deep breath here. getting longer. Just noticing if the hip dumped out, and see if you can stay lifted and long, and then bringing the foot down. Thank gosh we have two feet. Gorgeous. So let's try the other side here, feeling really rooted into the earth, allowing the tailbone just to drop slightly to the ground, correcting any arch in the back. And then lifting up as we pick up the foot, gently placing it on the inner thigh, or it could be below here, or also here in a half lotus. Bringing the hands to heart center or up. You could even put your hand on your foot if you prefer, allowing for versatility, spontaneity, and freedom as we breathe here. Beautiful. And then now seeing if you're dumping out of the hip, and just seeing if you can correct that and lift it, lifting the hip and staying long, and just noticing the pelvic bowl. Where's your pelvic bowl? So just taking time to integrate the technique of yoga as a skill set. Very Gemini. And then just seeing if you can pause here for a moment and find your real center and that beautiful stillness of the mind. Letting go of the skill and technique. And then bringing the foot down. Beautiful. Noticing if one side was more challenging than the other, as is often the case. Beautiful. We're going to now move into some more Vinyasa flow. We're going to experiment and explore with versatility and curiosity like a Gemini would. So come and play with me. Stay curious. Stay adaptable. Gemini being mutable energy, it's changing. So rather than get really fixed in our practice and dogmatic, let's stay open and flexible, curious and spontaneous. Placing both feet firmly on the floor, feeling rooted. Just taking a moment to correct any overarch in the back by gently the tailbone comes down, and you can zipper up, like as if you're zippering up, and even engage your Mula Bandha, your root lock, as if you were having to urinate and stop really quick, or you were doing a Kegel exercise. Gently lifting here and bringing that lock into place. This is a key technique in our yoga practice to hold the energy. Inhaling and exhaling, forward fold. And we're going to come into a chair pose. Come into the chair and then exhaling down. Gently lift and lengthen and step back into plank as we hug our elbows in to come down. Lifting up, protecting the low back. Exhaling, flipping over the toes. Spending a breath here before lifting the right leg and then bringing the right leg in and exhaling back. Exhaling in, inhaling back. Exhaling in, inhaling back. Beautiful. Now let's lift the left leg and do that on the other side. Lifting the left leg and then bringing the knee to the nose. Exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. Beautiful. Bringing both feet back to the earth. And then bringing up the right leg and curving your little tail over. And then I like to straighten the leg to get into my underarm and my intercostal muscles and my rib and side body. And then squaring the hips and bringing the knee in before putting down your foot on the earth. Taking a moment here to fix your hair. No, I'm just kidding. To stabilize. And then coming up into your crescent lunge. Staying curious, responsive, listening to your body, and then responding in turn, lifting the arms up into this beautiful crescent lunge. Doesn't need to be your deepest lunge, but the right knee should be over the right ankle, and my left heel is actually dropping down towards the earth. I used to stay really lifted, but that's not really the vibe here. And then if you like, you could clasp your hands and flip your wrists and bring your palms up towards the ceiling. Just a little rotation here, dropping the shoulder blades down, or you could steeple grip the hands. A lot of options here. Beautiful. Staying here, noticing the opening in the adductor, the hip, the ball and socket joint. And then let's just take flight. Let's move into our Warrior 3 lift off. Just see how you're doing, floating in the air element, flying. So activating that air of Gemini. Just feeling into that quality, maybe even a little instability here with this mutable air energy, being a little ungrounded sometimes. And then how can you anchor in with that right foot and support yourself with your technique and your skills to stay agile and adapt. And then we're going to open into our half moon. Finding our gaze, opening, beautiful, and then coming back into Warrior 2. That's fun. All right, getting into our Warrior 2, opening the right knee towards the window or whichever side you're on. Staying here in this beautiful dynamic warrior pose. So the pelvis is open, the arms are long and extended, and my gaze is over my middle finger or my fingertips here. As I keep opening through the hips, I'm really active here in opening my right knee towards the window. And then inhaling and exhaling into a reversed warrior. Dynamism, versatility, and curiosity. So exploring before you come back into your warrior. And then let's come into a beautiful side angle. So getting long through the left side body. If that's the side you're on, don't even worry about it. Like, you'll get to the other side eventually anyways. Getting long through the side body here in your extended side angle. And then a beautiful technique is to just draw the hands parallel or horizontally across the front as you open up through the psoas and the side body. Breathing deeply. Gorgeous. And then coming up after your few deep breaths, coming reverse, and then let's just turn this into a beautiful triangle. And then coming into your triangle, your side angle here. Beautiful, opening up. I like to stay really lifted because I have a very tight, short side body, but if you're epically bendy and you want to come all the way down, you may do so, of course, but please don't if it's going to compromise the hip, because if we're just sticking your butt out, I don't think it's actually, I guess the switch is it moves into my hamstring. It becomes a hamstring stretch. Fine, I like to get into the side waist whenever I can. Beautiful, coming up and reversing again, and let's just cartwheel the arms down to the earth. Staying in this lizard lunge for just a moment. The hands can be on either side of the foot, or feel free to bring them in the center. Just taking a moment to rock back and forth if that feels good. Staying lifted here, just feeling that beautiful, nice, elongating stretch through the thigh and the hip before stepping back into our plank, coming into chaturanga. Inhaling, exhaling back, second side. Lifting the left foot and then coming in again. Beautiful. Placing the foot down, lifting up the right foot. Gorgeous. And then again, the left foot and opening, flipping over your tail a little bit here. Bending the leg over and then trying to keep the shoulders actually square to the earth. But then I like to elongate and get a nice side stretch there. And then bringing the knee forward and through, taking a moment to stabilize, and then scooping the energy and coming up into our beautiful crescent lunge. Gorgeous. The knee is over the ankle. Wow, we get really long through the right hip here. So for me, that's like the biggest engagement is the hip opening. Just staying in that dynamic conversation with your body and the technique. You can bring your hands up overhead. Again, flip the palms or get in a steeple grip, staying versatile with the arms. Doing what feels good. And then opening. Oh no, I'm sorry. And then Gemini mind. So then flying, taking flight, warrior 3. Getting long. Squaring the hips towards the earth at first. Allowing yourself just to take flight. The arms can be back. If you want more engagement in the core, forward. You can bring the hands to the heart too. Staying here and then opening by using the power of your gaze. Falling is fabulous. Wobbling is wonderful. So from our warrior 3, opening into our half moon. If you have a block, feel free to use it. I love this pose. Opening and then stepping back. Woo! Into our warrior 2. Beautiful. The arms are long. My left knee is reaching towards you or whichever side you're on. So opening through the hip here. The left knee is over the left foot. As I get longer. Taking a few breaths. Trying not to fidget like me. That would be a very Gemini thing to do. Change just for the sake of change, fidgeting. Let's bring in that warrior focus on the breath. And we'll reverse our warrior. Beautiful. And then coming back and into our beautiful side angle. Opening through the psoas, getting really long. If you can make that gorgeous long arm and side waist into a perfect line, go for it, or do whatever feels good in your body. And then exhaling, reversing again, and then if you need to shorten your stance, go for it, into our triangle, and then leaning forward as we move into our side angle, or triangle posture. Gorgeous. Coming up and reversing again, and then we'll just come back into our warrior 2 for a moment, and then angle down. Windmill our arms down, taking a moment to pause in our lizard lunge. So with Gemini energy, we are being asked to engage in meaningful relationship building with people in our day-to-day life. and learning to listen really deeply. So practice that deep listening now with yourself and your body and your practice. So we can stay in a meaningful conversation rather than just superficially skim the surface or just chitter chatter without any real connection. And then when you're ready, stepping back, you can even bring your knees down to the earth and then your chest, and then wiggle forward. Either way, find your way to the earth with your belly on the earth for a moment. And we're going to just open through the heart. So bringing the hands forward, the arms come forward. And we're going to open and fly. So when you're ready, feeling the pelvic bowl, the pubic bone onto the earth, you might even like to tuck the coccyx or the tailbone so that your pubic bone can really get into contact with the earth, awakening and activating Shavasana chakra, your second chakra, the water element. And then lifting and flying, Superman. Allowing for the compression on the belly. And coming down, deep breaths. Beautiful. If you'd like for the second round to bring the arms back, you're more than welcome. And again, you can just tuck the pelvis. Feeling the pubic bone on the earth will really help you. And then arching and lifting when you're ready. You could bring your feet together if you want. I have mine apart. And coming down. Taking a few deep breaths, and let's push back into child's pose. Opening the knees, sitting back, and then the body comes down to the earth, the forehead rests on the floor, and the hands face down, the palms face down. And we allow for that opening in the chest and the hips. Taking a few moments in your child's pose to surrender, release, and let go. Continuing to breathe. Inhaling to expand, and exhaling, contract. Beautiful. Let us roll along the spine. So coming up to tabletop. First, let's get a little cat-cow action in here. So dropping the navel down, looking up, cow, and exhaling, cat. Arching the spine, hugging the navel in, dropping the neck, inhaling, looking up, exhaling down. The navel hugs in, navel drops, head is up, inhale, exhale, head, crown drops to the floor, spine is arched, and a few more times. Beautiful. So I want us just to roll up and down the spine. We're going to move between child's pose and upward facing dog. So here, actually, sometimes I like to tuck my toes and just come back because I'm kind of focusing more on articulating my spine than opening my hips. But if it works for you, you can go all the way back into a child's pose and get that beautiful hip opening. And then I kind of have to adjust my knees to get into the roll. So it's a little more moving pieces like that. So the simpler way would just be when I come back, kind of in a puppy pose. With my feet tucked, you can see my toes are supporting me. And then I am Really arching fully through the spine. My neck is dropped and my chin does not come up till the last possible moment. As I roll forward and then my hips, my thighs meet the ground first. As I slowly articulate through the spine, I allow my pelvic bowl. And then I bring my shoulders back and my neck up last. And then I tuck my chin. I press down through the earth to lift up my chest. As I roll backwards, articulating, my navel's hugged in through the abdomen and the low back, and then I'm coming back. You could even keep the toes not tucked here if that works better for you. Rather you could have the toes flipped as inhaling, exhaling back. So do this at your own pace. You can practice articulating slowly through the spine. And then you might want to pick up the pace. This might look really funny. I don't know, but it feels great. Stay curious. So keeping that flexibility in the spine is so vital. And then when you're done, let's just come and sit in lightning pose, Vajrasana, for a moment, sitting back on the heels. You can place your hands down on the thighs or bring them in your lap, closing down the eyes, taking a moment just to take a few breaths and find stillness again. And then coming to a seat, you can swing your legs around and bring your legs out in front of you. And we're going to move into a forward fold here. Let's practice Dandasana. Here, so placing the hands, the fingertips are facing forward, and I just roll my shoulders back as I press my hands onto the earth. If you have long arms, this will be easier. And then I'm going to just, if I could lift myself up, that would be awesome, but I'm just going to press into the earth. And then I'm going to bring my arms up. And staying lifted, staying active, staying engaged here. We'll come into more restorative postures shortly. But just coming forward a little bit. Staying focused on the breath, on the body. The technique here is to root in through the sit bones, stay lifted. And I'm not arching my back yet. So I'm just bringing myself forward, and I can bring my two peace fingers, my middle finger and my index finger around my big toe if I like, or however suits you. And you can even flex the quads to release the hamstrings. Experiment with that. Focusing the mind here and feeling rooted and grounded in connection with the earth that is holding you. Balancing out that very stimulating Gemini energy by connecting with the earth. You could even put your hands on the earth. Beautiful. And then coming up, for every pose, there's a counter pose. So let's just lay back into a little momentary Shavasana as our counter pose. And then bringing the feet on the earth. We're just going to roll up and down the spine with the arms coming up and overhead, and then articulating down the spine. Beautiful. And arching the back, rocking up and down the sacrum, the three fused vertebrae at the lower back or the back of the pelvic bowl. Articulating and seeing if you can just get a really nice massage here along the spine. Gorgeous. Beautiful. So let's just, while we're here, hug the knees in, wrapping them around the shins as you lift the head to cultivate some willpower at the core. Breathing in the compression, and the gut is so healthy. It's using your willpower to keep the neck lifted without straining. This is said to be a wind removing pose, so we can remove that air from the body while simultaneously focusing on our willpower, our navel, the fire element, to help burn off some of that vata energy, balance out the air element. And when you can't stay lifted anymore, because it's just too much, you can just get really long, open up. Beautiful. Let's bring in the right knee to the right shoulder-ish, and then just allowing for a moment, bringing your hand to your left quad, and then just feeling that nice long stretch, and then bringing the left knee over. Let's twist. And opening through the right arm, if ideally the right shoulder is firmly rooted on the earth. But if that's not your jam, feel free to stay mutable, stay flexible, stay adaptable. You could experiment with opening the leg, keeping the knee bent here. And just taking a moment here to be present with your body. Gemini rules over our day-to-day logistics. So getting our body from the beginning to our practice to the end. How are you going to move your body through space? Gemini rules over our day-to-day transportation as well. So like your vehicle, for me, I don't have a car. My feet are my way of getting around. So my body is definitely instrumental for my day-to-day transport. I know it is for you too. So let's take care of it. Keep it running with the right maintenance and fuel. And when you're ready, coming out of the pose, back to your center here, and then coming into the other side, bringing the left knee into the left shoulder. Hugging in the left knee here, putting the right hand on the right quadricep, letting for that elongation to happen through the right adductor, the right hip, ball and socket joint, all those tissue the complex muscle arrangement there. And then bringing the knee over to the side when you are ready, and opening up the left arm for a nice, beautiful twist. Balancing out both sides, letting them be different and in conversation with each other, rather than insisting they be the same. Just listening very deeply to the duality of both sides, and neither one is right or wrong. When we allow for this dynamic conversation to happen, that's mutually beneficial. Letting for the release to unfold. Letting for yourself to slow down. So we let ourselves speed up a bit, play it a lot, practice some versatility. And then now we're slowing down, reaching the end of our practice. And then when you're ready, coming back. Gorgeous. Let's just do a little figure 4 here. So starting out with your legs up the wall, you can just flex and point the feet here, just honoring your feet, how they really are your day-to-day transport, whether or not you have a car or a skateboard or a bicycle. It all starts with these guys. You can also roll out the wrists, shake out the hands. And then allow for your, let's go with the right side first. So then dropping into your figure 4, creating this beautiful structure, and then threading the needle. I'm bringing my right hand through the gap and clasping my fingers, metatarsals. No, is that what they are? Those your toes? Phalanges. Clasping them over my shin. If that's too much, you could go back at the thigh. And just letting for the glute and right hamstring even, but I'm feeling this mostly in my glute to open through the hip as well. Just dropping into the present moment of the day-to-day. Enjoying this moment, enjoying the day-to-day. That's what Gemini is all about. Finding joy in the present moment. The pleasure of experiencing new things. And again, legs up the wall here, and coming into your second side, bending the left leg and coming into your figure 4, threading the needle, clasping your hands at the back of the thigh or the shin, and just gently allowing for this stretch. On this side, I'm feeling it more in my hamstring. Staying focused on the sensation or your breath. Focusing the mind. Beautiful. And then releasing into Shavasana. If you need to experience any other poses, please do so now. Perhaps you want to take a headstand or any other posture, shoulder stand, plow, Matsyasana. Go for it. And then we'll meet up together when you're ready in this final resting posture. Shavasana, corpse pose, where we surrender, fully allowing all the benefits to be received deeply, and feeling the harmonious distribution of all the energies throughout your entire being. So if you're finishing up your final postures, just coming into Shavasana, feeling the earth beneath you, supporting you, feeling held, rooted, grounded. And then just allowing your body to be heavy. Finding a moment to pause. And release, surrender. And taking a moment to bring your awareness to your toes and allowing a wave of relaxation to wash over you from your toes all the way up your legs, through your hips and your belly, your back and your chest. This warm wave of relaxation just washing over both your arms and your hands, your neck and your head. can reversely, just feel a warm wave, like warm coconut oil melting from the crown of your head over your face and your neck and shoulders, your arms and your body, sideways, chest, back, stomach. A warm wave of relaxation over your pelvis, your quadriceps, hamstrings, your knees and your shins and calf, ankles and your feet. Just totally melting into the earth beneath you. Finding this state of restfulness, cultivating a pool of yin for you to drink from, a deep well of nourishing peace. Effortlessness. Staying here, or bringing your awareness back into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, slowly reaching up overhead, stretching, and then gently rolling over to one side, cradling the ear on your bicep like a pillow. Take a moment to restore yourself and be rejuvenated in this fetal position before placing your hands on the earth when you're ready to support you to come back up to sitting, to seated, to your asana. Feeling rooted on the earth beneath you when you've come up, feeling your sit bones making contact with the floor. Taking a moment to tune in to your inside world. So allowing now for a moment of inward reflection, just dropping in deeper. Listening deeply. And then bringing your hands to your heart center. Just taking a moment to pause and feel the virtue of gratitude. Grateful for yourself for showing up to your practice. And then taking a moment to bring the hands to the third eye. And just sitting in that virtue of gratitude without any object or attachment, just pure gratitude. And then taking a moment just to bow forward to seal our practice. This is such a beautiful gesture to seal in our practice, bringing the forehead to the earth. We're really creating that sacred container, and then I like to even scoop up some earth energy and brush it, wash it over my head to receive the blessings of my practice as I bring my hands to heart center. Thank you so much. Namaste.